it's just so funny to hear somebody say like, I was comforting myself with the idea of like, I'm going blind, it's all okay. When like, in my mind, when I was going blind, it was like, I'm going blind, this is not okay. I'm not gonna lie, today's video might test me a little bit because I try to live as judgment-free a life as possible and with as much compassion and empathy for others whom I do not understand. But I can tell you that about 8 or 9 years ago, when this video originally took the internet by storm, I of course saw it, as I see almost every blindness-related video that ever gets posted to the internet. And it did make me feel some kind of way. As somebody who went blind at 14 from a disease where there is no known cure or treatment, and I had no control over my destiny, watching somebody choose this life was difficult for me. It made me just like feel confused. And pre-warning, if you are in the same position as me and you are also progressively losing your vision or have gone blind and have been struggling to accept that, this might also make you feel some kind of way. But I'm interested to rewatch this many years later in a different state of mind and see what's going on, because you guys know I try to make the best of my life. I want to say of a bad situation, but I try not to think of my blindness as a bad thing. This is the life I was obviously meant to live, and I try to be as optimistic and positive and see the good in it, because at the end of the day, I can't change it. So I don't want to dwell on that. I try my best not to. I have my moments. I grieve. We've seen that earlier this year. But I try my best to just like be as positive about my circumstances as possible. But also, I'm the first to say I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Like, I am well aware that my life is made harder because I am blind. And that's not my fault as one blind individual. I believe that the hardship that comes with my blindness is related to the inaccessibility in the world around me, the ableism, discrimination. Oh, my guide doggo's here. See, that's one good thing. I get a guide doggy. That's pretty great. Are you gonna lay down and watch with me? He says, Mom seems like she's feeling some kind of way about this, so I'm gonna offer my emotional support, even though I'm not an emotional support guide dog, I'm a real guide dog. Yeah, okay, thanks for joining. There you go, very good. So, without further ado, we are going to react to a video from the Truly channel, which they have a lot of disability content on the channel, some of which is very interesting. So if you want to see me react to more videos on Truly, please let me know, and let me know which series they have that you'd like me to react to, because I'm happy to do so. But this video is a woman who chose to purposefully, intentionally make herself blind, which again, I would not have chosen this life for myself. I make the best of it, would not have chosen this. My life isn't as easy as it would have been in many ways. And so I'm very intrigued. I do not remember the details of it. So I'm very intrigued to rewatch and just, with fresh eyes, no pun intended, see how it hits. You know, we often think people wouldn't choose to be disabled, but there are people out there who apparently do. Okay, headphones are on. I had my boyfriend mic up in case there's anything visual to describe, because oftentimes in these videos there is, because they never have audio description, even when they're about blindness. So, I'm taking a deep breath, buckle up, hit play.
I went blind on purpose, but I don't feel it was a choice.
Okay, pause. To the editor who put this video together, 10 out of 10 soundbite. That was the best cold open hook line you could have possibly used. It's a very startling statement, like to say that essentially I like self-harmed, but it felt like I had no control. But also I do understand that. Like, I've had times in my life where there's different things where it like feels like a compulsion more than a choice. So I understand that feeling, even if I don't understand it in the context of like wanting to blind myself. Play.
For most people, going blind would be a nightmare. But for Jewel Shuping, it was the fulfillment of a lifelong dream. She suffers from a rare condition called body integrity identity disorder, which led her to deliberately take her own sight.
When there's nobody around you that feels the same way, you start to think that you're just very crazy. I don't think I'm crazy. I think I have a disorder.
Okay, pause.
BIID.
I'm not going to pretend that I understand BIID. I did like a brief Google search. Here's a screenshot of a kind of description of it.
So let's see, body integrity dysphoria, also referred to as body integrity identity disorder, a few other names, is a rare mental disorder characterized by a desire to have a sensory or physical disability, or feeling discomfort with being able-bodied, beginning in early adolescence and resulting in harmful consequences. People with this condition may refer to themselves as transabled, but the term is controversial. It's defined as a psychiatric or clinical psychology specialty, and treatment is labeled as cognitive behavioral therapy and antidepressants.
Okay, so it sounds like at this point it's currently categorized as a mental health condition. I obviously can't relate to the feeling of being uncomfortable in an able body, and I'm not going to pretend that I can like comprehend or understand what that feels like. I've learned to feel comfortable in my blind body, which took a lot of work. But yeah, I mean, I've struggled with mental health in my past, so I certainly can empathize with struggling with mental health for sure. Okay, let's keep going.
Means that you have a need to be disabled in some way. In my case, it was a need to go blind.
9 years ago, Jewel took the drastic decision to blind herself, and she researched the method she would use.
I found that lye is very painful, although it does get the job done. I found that drain cleaner is a little less painful, although it does a lot of damage to the eye. Because drain cleaner was easily available to me, I went with that.
She found a psychologist willing to...
So I remember from years ago when I did a little digging into this story, she ended up being on like Dr. Phil and the doctors and all this other stuff. I will link this full video and some other videos about it, like the doctor and stuff, down below. From what I recall, the psychologist or psychiatrist who helped her was unlicensed at the time. They had had their license revoked. Frankly, as they should. Like, well, yes, a psychiatrist or psychologist, I can't remember, is supposed to provide support for people with mental health issues, and I've seen both in my life. That support is therapy, medication, helping provide resources, helping provide coping mechanisms. That should not be helping you act out self-harm, even if you feel like that is what you need. That's absolutely wild to me that psychiatrist or mental health professional did this. Play.
2 weeks of working together to make sure she was ready.
After
they carried
2
out
weeks?
Jewel's plan.
I laid down on the sofa and he sat next to me. 2 drops into each eye. My eyes were screaming. I had some drain cleaner going down my cheek, burning my skin. In the moment, all I could think of was, I'm going blind, it's gonna be okay.
After waiting half an hour to make sure the damage was done, the psychologist
it's
took Jewel
just-
to hospital.
Pause.
Where
Wow, that's wild.
Absolutely wild. Like, it hurts me to hear that. That sounds so incredibly painful. It seems that she's happy now, but I wish that she did not have to go through that pain to be in a happy place. I don't wish anybody to go through pain to be who they're supposed to be. I'm so concerned that that psychologist person only worked with her for 2 weeks to, quote, ensure
that's
she was
wild.
ready.
But then supervised the self-harm in a
No, did it. Not even supervised. Dropped it into her.
Oh, I didn't catch that part. Wow. That's not self-harm then. That's the doctor harming her.
I'm so baffled as to how somebody agreed to do it.
Yeah, even if someone wants and asks for that, if you're the person doing it to them, isn't that a crime?
I
mean,
thought that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. Maybe it was just that he watched her do it. But
But also watching someone do it is also kind of like being complicit in it. in a
Standing
way.
by
I'm sure
and-
they got arrested.
it's really surprising. It's very, I can't even imagine the pain. Also, like, it's just so funny to hear somebody say, like, I was comforting myself with the idea of, like, I'm going blind, it's all okay. When, like, in my mind, when I was going blind, it was like, I'm going blind, this is not okay. Nothing will ever be okay. again. And in like a weird way, it's kind of like cool to see somebody talk about blindness so positively.
You know what I was thinking as I was watching was like, what if, and this wouldn't happen, but in a funny, joking way, what if someone saw you or like a social media personality and like how great your life looks and was like, I want to be like Molly. She's so awesome. And so they like took their vision so that they could be like you, you know?
I hope I inspire you to live your best life in your disabled body if you have one, and in your non-disabled body if that's what you've got going on. I try to help inspire my community who has found themselves here. I would never encourage you to choose this life, is what I'll say. Okay, play.
Where doctors fought to save her sight.
When I woke up the following day, I was joyful until I turned on my back, opened my eyes, and could see the TV screen. I was so enraged, and I thought that it hadn't worked. Then over about 6 months, the sight in both eyes slowly went away. I was so happy. I felt that this was who I was supposed to be.
While Jewel was happy, her actions cost her her relationship with her family. But this was something she'd been building up to throughout her life.
I first developed the idea that I need to be blind when I was around 6 years old. I was told by my mother that if I looked into the sun, I'd go blind, and so I stared into the sun for hours on end. Thinking about being blind made me feel comfortable. I was blind simming, which is pretending to be blind. Becoming blind was definitely
Pause.
difficult.
I wonder why, like I did think to myself, like, feels like closing your eyes would be easier. Or like blindfolding yourself. But I guess like that doesn't truly make her feel actually disabled or like she's in the right body, because she can just open her eyes and see again, and maybe it's such a mind it's very much a mind twist for me as a blind person, because yeah, I mean, I also slowly went blind as she did. I lost the majority of my sight quite quickly over the course of like 6 to 8 months when I was 14, and it was devastating. It was like the idea, it's just so strange to hear somebody say that the most devastating, traumatic thing that happened to you brought them so much joy when it happened to them. You know? Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I'm trying so hard to like understand, you know, and I really don't want this to be like I'm judging her. She has her path. It's just like it's very different from my lived experience of going blind. Okay, play.
Decision to make. I tried to avoid it, but it kept coming up in my head, and by the time I was 21, it was a non-stop alarm that was going off.
As extreme as
I have
Jewel's
an-
case
I have a thought.
sounds, she
Yeah?
Okay, so it's interesting to me, maybe I'm thinking too meta about it, but the idea of, say, using tools to help you, say, navigate, like a cane or a guide dog, or any other like assistive technology, is in a sense trying to like alleviate the blindness. So, but she does use a cane. But using a cane is something that a blind person does. But if you want to be blind,
Yeah, no, I see what you're
right?
saying.
It's like I'm not trying to say it's
Right, like I use all of the assistive technology I use to mitigate the symptoms of my blindness. Like those are tools I use to be able to access the sighted world.
So it's almost like she wants, and I don't want to put thoughts in her mind or words in her mouth, but it's almost like she wants the experience of trying to mitigate the blindness. Does that make sense?
No, I totally see what you're saying, and I understand like exactly what you're getting at. It's so interesting because this truly is just us trying to understand. This isn't me coming to like bash this person. I'm just trying to understand something that is really foreign to me. And I hope I don't say anything like offensive or ignorant in watching this. This is just like me trying to dissect and understand. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be interested to do a bit more research on this when I'm done watching this, because it's...
I guess at the end of the day, like it's it's kind of impossible to try to understand if it's a condition you don't have.
Right. And it's just
kind of
about
impossible to wrap your mind around.
it is. Exactly. Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And it's just about having empathy for people you can't understand.
Right. It's
Like
about
I have a
just,
lot
like,
of empathy
Yeah.
for the fact that she went through both emotional pain that led her to using physical pain that led her to an objectively more difficult life in many ways, where every single aspect of your life, both including like losing family,
Right.
changing her social dynamics, and like physically, like being able to get jobs, being able to date, being able to build friendships, being able to navigate, being able to access different tools. Like it does add complications. And so I feel a lot of empathy towards the fact that like she went through all of that, and that is for her what made her feel good. Like I wish there was other ways that she could have felt good, and I'm never going to be able to understand wanting to be blind or feeling like I'm supposed to be disabled, but I can try to have empathy for somebody in pain.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a kind of a shame, by the way, like that her family basically left her, or
Yeah,
like
couldn't support her.
Because like if you look at it at the perspective of it being like a medical condition that she's sick with, and she made this choice instead of trying to like feel empathy and still be there for her, they left, and she was expecting them to leave.
Yeah,
And
it's hard.
Still chose it, knowing
Yeah.
that they would leave.
Yeah, which shows like how deep of a compulsion,
Yeah.
as she said at the start, like it didn't feel like a choice. Like she made this choice knowing that a lot of hardship would come from it.
And wanting the hardship, which is
Yeah.
also a weird thing.
Yeah, and you know, I lost all my friends when I went blind, but I had my family who was super supportive, and that was crucial for my mental healing and for me to be able to rebuild my life. So I can't imagine not having family there for you. And I do have so many friends in my community who were sent to group homes, who were put up for adoption. And, you know, in speaking with those friends, that came with a lot of complicated emotions for them. But again, when I struggled with mental health, my family supported me. Like when I was really struggling with complex post-traumatic stress disorder and generalized anxiety, and I was like a hot mess, my family supported me, understanding that like, no, I wasn't acting in my right mind. I wasn't acting like Molly that they were used to, because my mental health was struggling. But I'm fortunate that they did not abandon me in that time. They rallied around me and made sure like I got access to the interventions that I needed, which at the time was like a lot of different forms of therapy and SSRIs. So yeah, it's a very sad situation all around, to be honest. And it's weird feeling sad for somebody that feels happy.
Right.
That's what's also complicated about this.
I mean, in like another like weird way, it's like someone feeling sad for you because you're blind.
Right, and I feel fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's not that you wanted it or would have chosen it, but you found a happy life now. But it's still very different.
It's very complicated. It is
Yeah.
like two sides of the same coin. I don't know. Okay, play.
He is not alone. Dr. Michael First is a leading expert on the condition. He even coined the term BIID to describe it.
A lot of people who have this just live with it, but they don't take that step of actually actualizing it. But a significant minority of people with this have the feeling so strongly that they will go and do something to make it happen. Our job is to reduce suffering however it's possible. The question is, what can be done? People have tried therapy, they've tried medication. None of those have really been successful. The ethics of whether
that's interesting, because we were reading that therapy and medication are like the ways that you can treat it, but this doctor is saying that's not that effective.
Well, at least it's not always effective, and which makes sense, right? Like I know people who have like untreatable depression, and like traditional forms of medication and therapy don't work. So
I didn't know that was the thing now.
yeah, there is, and that's why there's like a lot more interventions now. Like some people seek like ketamine drips, or like getting those vagus nerve stimulators implanted in their, I think it's in their brain. So like I do understand that there is medication-resistant mental health, which is awful. I'm interested to see what he thinks, because I just started to hear him say like ethical.
Oh yeah, he's about
and
to
that
get into
is
that.
what I'm curious about, is like what are like the ethical and moral responsibility of people like him who treat people with this, because it does to me feel ethically wrong what that psychologist did to her. or supported her in doing to herself. And so I'm curious what his stance on that is as the expert and the person who coined this term. Play.
Okay to take a normal person and make them disabled is, I think you could make it an ethical case that if you conceptualize this as treating a condition, then it's okay to do it. The big fear, of course, is somebody goes ahead and gets an amputation and becomes disabled and then changes their mind. I like to encourage people to do what makes sense to make them feel better, but this is such a drastic move that it's hard to encourage.
Initially apprehensive, Jewel has now told her friends in the blind community about how she took her own sight.
I told her that I didn't care, that I think there's no resentment for her voluntarily taking her eyesight.
Can I pause it? I'm going to pause it because I just had a thought. Like, the societal complications of discrimination and things, like, it might be one thing to, like, in your brain think that being blind would make you happier, but then maybe you're not aware that, like, how much discrimination is out there.
Right,
And,
like,
you know, like
a lot of people
everyone,
don't know until
you know?
they're living it.
So that's what's kind of interesting is then you're like, oh wow, this is like not what I wanted, because I wasn't aware of like how it would be.
Right, I was actually thinking that as well when he was talking about it, like the idea that like you get an amputation and then eventually regret it. Like amputation is not just like missing a limb, right? Like I have a lot of amputee friends, and in a lot of cases there's like phantom pain. So there's a chronic pain that goes along with it. A lot of my friends who are amputees are athletes, and I hear them talk about how expensive it is. Like the financial implication of having to buy a different prosthetic for every activity you do. There's like a running blade, and then there's, you know, ones for skiing and snowboarding and water sports, like all of these different things, or robotic hands that have like the fingers that can move if you're able to get that kind of amputation where they're able to hook the muscle up. Like there's so many layers.
And I'm really curious, like I wonder, does all of that stuff encompass like things that makes her or anyone with this condition happy? Like if you go into an elevator that's not accessible, it doesn't have braille buttons, and you can't get to the 5th floor or something.
Right.
Do you stand there like smiling like, yes?
Right, or are you
know, like,
still
it's so-
frustrated by the
right.
inaccessibility?
Right. Or do you want the inaccessibility? Like it's really fascinating. I have
It
so many
is.
questions.
I do as well, and I don't know that we'll ever get answers. If any of you, like I know I have a huge disability community, if any of you have BIID or would be open to having like a conversation in a video and want to share your perspective and help educate people, I'm open to having that conversation because I really do want to learn. It's so
It's
multi-layered. The
unusual
disability
condition.
experience is so complex in itself. And I do think that there's a lot that you couldn't begin to know until you live it. It is fascinating. And I see his point that like, if you're doing it to help a patient feel better, then it is moral. But what if, I feel like perhaps we just don't know enough about the condition yet. I'd be curious to understand, because he's saying it's like really a minority within the community that does go this far to actually enact becoming disabled. I'd be curious to know just like what percentage of people have this. Like, is this actually more common than we know and people just don't talk about it? I remember there was like a study done, and I think it was something like 10 biggest fears of people. And I think number 1 was going blind. So like most people fear becoming disabled. Most people, like I hear all the time, if I went blind, I would off myself. Like people say that to me, to my face, in my comment section. And that is a comment almost every single one of my disabled friends gets. Most people, when like you were saying, like they do feel sorry for me, they look down upon it, like it is viewed as an inherently negative thing to be disabled. So it is interesting to think of people wanting to choose this.
Well, and I get like there are like non-medical conditions of people who do want people to feel pity for them, you know?
For sure.
So that's like, it's almost like a really extreme version of that. But I'm not even quite sure if this is about pity for her or if it's just about like having some fantasy about the experience.
Yeah, I wish they would
know?
like more so dig in.
Yeah.
It's such a short video. Like I'd be very interested to hear her like really go into the nuance of like what was it about blindness
Yeah.
that felt like that was supposed to be your life? What were the feelings that being blind gives you that you feel satisfied by? Because I feel like that would say a lot. And certainly like I do have friends who did choose amputation, but they chose it as the best medical outcome, for the best medical outcome. Like, I have one friend who chose amputation because she had bone cancer.
Right.
And
yeah.
they said, like, we can amputate and the cancer's gone, or we can treat aggressively and likely it'll keep spreading.
But
and so
morally,
she-
that one is like, it'll kill you if you don't do it.
Exactly. Or like, I know another person who chose amputation because they had like severe complex regional pain syndrome, which
right.
is known as like the worst, most painful condition there is. And that was a better life to live, was one where they lived with a prosthetic versus living in severe, constant, untreatable pain. So like, there are people that I know who have technically chosen to be disabled, but it's because it is the best outcome they could hope for. You know, it
Yeah,
gives them a better life than the one that they would live without choosing amputation.
And I'm curious about what the level of severity of emotional distress that she was experiencing before she chose this, you know, like
Right.
how, like, she might have been in like a really debilitated state mentally, like depressed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that she didn't explain, you know.
Yeah, that's what it would be very interesting to go into further, but okay. Let's hear the rest.
Not who I am.
I just don't think I've ever known anyone who had that condition. I think there's a lot understood in the medical community, but I'm sure that by what happened to you, it will be helpful to somebody else.
Hey, Jewel. How's it going?
Oh, hi, y'all. Does this affect our friendship at all?
No, actually, I want to thank you for sharing it with me. I think it's a really inspiring story, actually, because you've overcome a lot here. You're a very positive person. You contribute a lot to the blind community, and I think that's a great thing.
Now, Jewel hopes her story will help other people in her position and lead to a wider understanding of BIID.
These days, I have no regrets. I'm very happy as a blind person. If somebody's out there with the same feelings as I have, I would say don't go blind the way I did. I know there's a need, but perhaps someday there'll be treatment for it. And just wait for that treatment if you can. If you feel that you have to, at least talk to a psychiatrist. Try to get somebody who knows what they're doing to help you. Don't do it for yourself because it's dangerous. That's why I'm getting my story.
Here, I'll pause it there.
Okay, so to wrap up, I'm glad she's discouraging this kind of behavior. I'm equally glad that she is still like completely happy with her decision and at peace with it, and that it has like made her a better, happier person. And I'm thrilled that the community is supportive. That's really important, to have community around you. So I'm glad that her blind community at large has been very supportive in her life and that she has found those people. So to wrap it up in a bow, it's still very complicated.
It's very fascinating.
It's fascinating. I don't have any personal like hatred or resentment or like judgment towards her. It's interesting. I think I've said the word interesting 50 times throughout this video, but yeah, I'm gonna have to keep doing more research on this one, and I would love for anybody to share their opinions in the comment section down below. This video and other ones related to Jewel's case will be in the description box if you would like to dig more into it. I think it's always going to be a little bit difficult for me to wrap my head around the idea of like I feel like when I drop something and I'm literally crawling around on my hands and knees as a 31-year-old woman, and I'm like, this is so frustrating. This is taking me so long to find something that if I could just see, I would visually scan and I would find it. And sometimes I still crawl around for 5 minutes, can't find it, break out, be my eyes, call in my partner, and like in those moments, I feel frustrated. And I think it would be hard for me if I self-inflicted blindness. It's like very complex to be like, I am frustrated, but also I wanted this. Or maybe it's not frustrating for her. This is all the things that I'm like so curious to dig more into and like understand on a deeper level. But I don't know that I ever will have that opportunity. But yeah, I don't know. So curious to hear everybody else's respectful comments sounding off down below. And until next time, if you want to watch another reaction video, you can click over here. Or if you want to hear me talk about my perspective on the princess treatment trend as a blind woman, you can click right over here. Bye!